Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob, and welcome to the Uplifting Gamer podcast. This is a brand new series that I am going to be trying out. Maybe just one episode, 2 episodes. I don't really know how long I want to do this, but it's a test run, and I am going to see how well it does. What this essentially is, I call it a deep dive, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It is essentially, well, me talking about more than one subject because either one subject isn't long enough for its own podcast episode, or it has too much for its own podcast episode, so I can bring it into a deeper dive without trying to condense it and missing out on all the little details. And Arcane Season 2 is going to probably be in like every single one of these episodes. So, this because it's so much detail is coming out now, we should probably expect that. Hopefully I get an episode where I don't have to talk about Arcane. But right now that is very, very the way it is at the moment. However, I am happy I get to do it because there is something that just came out recently. I believe it was either yesterday or the day before, and it was a brand new teaser for Arcane. And I have it actually. I thought I had it pulled up. I do not. But you know what? I can suck it up. Wait, here we go. I have it now. It is called. It's a tweet from Arcane. Has Piltover's finest is on the case. And it's a video. It's a short teaser video. But there's a catch behind everything. It shows Caitlin as the sheriff. And not just Caitlin. We have a group of 5 people. At least it looks like 5 people. The first one, obviously, is Caitlin. Not with just any rifle. I'll talk about that soon. The second guy, who looks like he has a ponytail in the back, trying to figure out if I recognize him. I'd have to rewatch season 1. But from the photo, I don't, like, nothing comes to mind off the bat. Maybe they meet him in the middle of the season, or there's a time jump where they meet him. And I'm saying time jump, I'll get right into that. And on the third person is someone that definitely looks like it came from Zaun. At least definitely looks like it, or was a former Firelight. And that's another enforcer. Number 4 is Vi. And the big thing around Vi is she has a brand new set of Hex Tech gauntlets, which are no longer graffitied, which is what they were used, which was what happened with Jinx. They're not destroyed either, which is what happened with Safika. So both gauntlets are fixed. She is using both of them. So that's a very interesting detail. She also has her white shirt on as well, like she did before. And her white bandages on, even though she doesn't need them anymore. So, we see Enforcer Vi, which we all knew was eventually going to happen. Internet might not like it. It was going to happen. But the way that she has it on, she has the fact that it's oversized. Vi doesn't like it. She doesn't like being there. She doesn't want to have to do it. So something tells me it's Caitlin looking at her and saying, hey, I need you for this. I need you badly, and if I don't trust anybody else. And Vi just kind of had to say yes. I have a whole own can of worms on that, but it's so small, I can't even talk about it without you guys even seeing the photo. And without you seeing the photo, it makes no freaking sense. But the biggest talking point of it all is the final girl. She's next to the shield, and a lot of people are taking this to be Ren. Which is, for those of you that do not know, Ren is the daughter of Sheriff Marcus, who dies in episode 7. Now, that is a big assumption, especially because, one, she's following in her father's footsteps, which is pretty damn cool. It's like she learned, so she can be a badass, and she looks like she is a badass. Two, if you're looking at her, she was roughly, I want to say 12, maybe not even 12. I guess you could say, yeah, 12, but it's probably a safe bet. When Arcane Season 1 happened. And if you would look at her now, she's older. As in, she enlisted in the Enforcers, and Caitlyn specifically chose her for this task force. Older. And I have a feeling, and it's just a gut feeling of mine, and I'm just looking at the date now of the tweet. It's June 6th. So, that's when it came out. June 6th is when the tweet came out. Of the photo of Vi and all them. Is there going to be a time jump? Is that when this takes place? Because if this is Ren, and it is indeed Ren, we are going to be seeing her older, and she's going to start asking questions about how her dad died. And that's going to be awkward for Vi because she's working alongside her sister. Not she's working alongside her sister, but she's working alongside the former sheriff's daughter, and the sister killed the former sheriff. That's a little awkward. So, that's the biggest thing. That's just not the biggest thing that's interesting. If you look really closely, it gets blocked out at first. But not only does Caitlyn have a brand new wristband, neckband, necktie on her collar. What's necklace? That's what I'm shooting for, necklace. It's a brand new color, so it signals that she, in a white beret, she's now the sheriff. At least we can assume she's the sheriff. Or acting. Maybe they're in the process of appointing one and they just said, hey, you're the acting sheriff for now. Let's just assume she's the sheriff. What gets blocked over, and I don't know, it's probably not intentional, is Caitlyn's new rifle. And if you go into detail on how it looks, it's not just any new rifle. It's something Hex Tech powered. And this is huge because Victor and Jace were against making Hex Tech weaponry. And the fact that now Caitlyn has to use a Hex Tech rifle, either they're going after two people, and I can see that this is happening. This is the reason why they're going after Vander. And this is why I see Vi in here. Vi now knows it's Vander. And that's Warwick and Vander, one and the same. She knows it's out there. That's why they have to have all this Hex Tech gear. They had this task force, they need to get Warwick taken down. That, or they're going after Jinx. They're going after Powder. Which is the likely assumption. And honestly, I like that assumption. I feel like if it wasn't that assumption, it would be kinda stupid. And the fact that it isn't, let's be real, Vi looks miserable. She does. And that's going to be a big plot point. I think Vi is going to go AWOL. And that's going to cause Caitlyn to go AWOL. Because Caitlyn drops a line. The trailer goes as follows. Everything gets fixed up. They pose. But Caitlyn drops an interesting line. We have a few surprises of our own. That's a curious line. And right after that line gets dropped and they show Arcane with Haley Steinfeld and Elle Purnell, which is the voices of Vi and Jinx. They show, right after that, Jinx lighting a flare. That's a very interesting scene to choose right after Caitlyn says that. I cannot talk today, I'm sorry. Right after Caitlyn says that, why does Fortiche and Riot decide, let's show Powder lighting a flare? And I'm saying Powder lighting the flare and Jinx, not Jinx. Because I am convinced in that moment that was Powder that lit the flare. I think, I looked at it now, I thought it was two different flares. I don't think it is anymore. I had my suspicions. There's still parts of me that still think it is two different flares. But I don't think they'd go with the same scene twice. That doesn't scream Arcane. I don't see them having the same emotional impact. But why show Jinx after Season 1 Jinx, mind you, after Vi and Caitlyn, after all they are shown, and Caitlyn says, we have a few surprises of our own. Is Jinx one of those surprises? Does Caitlyn know where she is? And she's not telling Vi? Or does the task force know and they're not telling the council? There's a lot of stuff that can go on here. And it's obviously related to Jinx. They wouldn't have showed her without it. They could have easily just dropped that. And they said Piltover's finest is on the case. With Jinx right after. So they're going after her, guaranteed. But with Hextech weaponry, it's a bit much. There's almost like it wasn't meant to be to hunt down Powder at first. It was almost meant to like, okay, hey, we're going to fight back in this rebellion that is obviously going to happen. But there's also a secondary war going on with Warwick. So maybe they fight back the rebellion and all of a sudden we do see Warwick. Well, shit, that's not good. Time to upgrade our arsenal, and that's how we get to the rifle. That could be the few surprises. But the way that it's just laid out, I think Caitlyn at least has some idea on where Powder is. And she didn't tell Vi. And the reason why I am saying this is because when they announced Season 2 was in production, there was 4 interesting quotes that they dropped. It was the Warwick howl, first off, which is what sent people into a frenzy, by the way. And I have to find them, because I remember talking about this. Yeah, here we go. So the quotes were, the first one, Vi says, if I can do this alone, no one else has to get hurt. So we're obviously assuming that that's, yeah, Vi can go after Powder alone, no one else has to get hurt. So if she's in this task force now, something's going to happen to it. It's not going to last long. If we see that early on, expect that to be gone by episode 4. They're not going to last long. If knowing Season 1, we had people get split up by episode 3. So, the fact that that's doing it, it's interesting. It's a nice small detail, and it's pretty damn cool. But one thing that I'm interested in is the fact that it's not leaked yet. It's all confirmed. Caitlyn says, if I go after your sister alone, one of us is coming back in a box. None of us knew what one of us meant until now. Now we know that there's a task force. Piltover's finest, according to Arcane. So, one of us is coming back in a box. So she's talking to Vi. If I go after your sister alone, your sister. So if I go after Powder alone, someone's coming back in a box. Also known as a box, referring to as a coffin. I legitimately think that she is the least, I don't know, what's the best way of saying this? I think Powder has a grip on the Undercity at that point in time. Then Warwick is going to come in, and we have a few surprises of our own. I think Powder is going to maybe have to realize that I don't have this big of a grip as I thought. Which is not good in her case, because she needs to have this big grip Because if she doesn't have that big grip, well, she's shit out of luck. And that sucks. So, that's the first part I wanted to bring up. And the second one is the quote I told you about Vi. I can do this, no one else has to get hurt. It's all my own. It's my responsibility. That was what Vi said. The third one is a Jinx quote. And it's a very interesting quote. It's, of course it's you. It had to be you. Who is she saying that to? It's not Vi. She expected Vi to come. But it wouldn't be to the extent of, oh, of course it's you. I am convinced she wouldn't be that surprised to see Vi. She's Powder, I'm convinced, is down the line is going to look for Vi. She's going to need Vi eventually. It's going to be a necessary enemy by enemy situation. So, if we have all of that, who is Powder talking to in that scene alone? It isn't Caitlyn. That makes no sense. It's definitely someone Powder recognizes. It could be Echo. Apparently, the actor that played Echo said that they recorded lines between Jinx and Echo. But the way that she said it is more sad and depressing, like really sad and depressing, almost like she was defeated. I think she's the first person to come across Warwick. And not just the first person to come across Warwick as in the beast form. I think she sees Vander. And she's probably about to take a shot, and all of a sudden she says, in the most defeated way possible, realizing who she might just be about to shoot. Of course it's you. Of course it's you. It had to be you. It makes sense now that you look at it. If you look at it in that context, it makes sense. We don't see what happens to Vander's body until episode 9. All we know is Vander's body was left there. We don't know what happened to the bodies after. I mean, we can assume Mata and Clagger are probably still in the warehouse, for all we know. But I'm assuming the warehouse got investigated and they probably got buried in an empty grave. Or unmarked grave. I'm assuming. Let's just hope Piltover has some decency to do that. But that's not the case right now. That's not what we're talking about. Warwick is 10,000% the main antagonist. I believe that in this case. I do not think it's Powder. I think Powder is a red herring 100%. If we've got a few surprises of our own, that's the most interesting quote of them all. And I am very interested to see how this is going to play out. I cannot wait for the season. I think it's going to be very dark. I think it's also going to be very action-packed. And if the sister fight is going to go hard, and I mean very, very hard, it's going to get bloody. It's going to get bruised. And that's where we come into if I go after your sister alone. So that means Vi likely came back to Caitlyn completely destroyed. Bloodied. She probably even is bruised. Not broken. I almost want to say a broken bone. But plot armor. Let's just go with the plot armor route. So I really think the few surprises of our own, I think it could be Powder. They're preferring the Powder. It's definitely convincing. The details that are needed are there. It's just one of those things where you have to look at it at a grand scale view. Like, here, what quotes do we have? And the quotes that we have are a few surprises of our own. The Warwick Howl, which isn't even technically a quote. Jinx's quote with, of course it's you, it had to be you. which is the most interesting of them all, in my opinion, because that's all we've seen of Jinx. We've only seen Caitlyn and Powder. We've only seen Caitlyn and Vi. We have not seen Jinx. We've seen her technically, but that's Season 1 Jinx. We haven't seen Season 2 Jinx. We haven't seen the silhouette of her. And if you just on Twitter, if you look closely, it's hard to find. It might have been deleted by now. But I have it saved on my phone because I knew it was going to get deleted. Savika is in a Noxian uniform. Now think about that for a second. She needed to go to someone. So that means if Noxus is there, there's a war going on. And Noxus wants in. And I think this is where Savika at least comes into play. We were wondering where she does come into play. And now we know. At least that's what the leak looks like. And the scene has I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe the scene. It's like a still shot. And she has spikes on her cape. It's not an arm, it's her cape. So, I think that's the Noxus uniform. I could be wrong. I'd have to look it up again. People online are saying it's the Noxus uniform. But then again, she could have stolen it. She may not be with Noxus. She could just have stolen that uniform. As a kind of effort type of thing. Like, screw it, I need clothes. I need to get out of here type of deal. It almost looks like she's watching somebody. But without the full context, we won't know. So take that with a grain of salt. But Savika does look good. I think it's going to be very, very fun. And on top of everything, and I mean everything, I think Powder is going to be a surprise. And I think she might end up helping Vi and Caitlyn in more ways than one. And it says it in the song for Imagine Dragons. Everybody wants to be my enemy. Well, we have Warwick now. We can apply that to him. Everybody wants to be my enemy. It's the perfect metaphor. And that's why we're probably going to have the same exact theme song. I love that song. But it is it's just so weird. And it's just, I wish they would find something different. But I read this online, and I'm actually going to pull it up now. Because rumor has it, Paris, who wrote Burn It All Down for the League of Legends World Finals in 2021, when Arcane got revealed to the world, wrote a brand new song, and I think it's called this. Let me look at Oil and Water by Paris. Yep. And for those of you that are wondering why that's such a big deal, why it's called Oil and Water, the biggest episode so far was Oil and Water, and that's when Caitlyn gets abducted and taken to the warehouse. Vi gets abducted and taken to the warehouse. That's the pre-ultimate episode. So that was the whole when Vi and Caitlyn got separated, and that was it. And so the fact that we're coming around Arcane's, I guess, what's a good way? Arcane's peak of advertisement? Is that the best way of saying it? And one of the bands that worked with League of Legends is releasing a song, which could be a coincidence, a high coincidence. But it's called Oil and Water. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm going to. That's very, very odd. And people are saying it's a good song. I'll have to listen to it after the episode. But the fact that it comes out now is interesting. It's very interesting timing. And I think it's a single. I have to look let's see. Oil and water. I'm on Spotify, by the way, so if anyone is, this is me live researching this shit. I am sorry that I did not come prepared. I didn't think I was going to be bringing this up. Yeah, it's a single. I don't... More options. Yeah, no, I don't see it. Go to album. There's 2 songs. Burn the Witch and Oil and Water. That's all it is. It's a single. If it was part of the album, I wouldn't think of anything of it. But... Huh. Might want to take a look at that. Maybe think about it. But, yeah, that's really all I have with Arcane. A lot of details are coming out, and I'm probably going to have to make another deep dive episode soon, because the way I'm going at this, I'm going to be talking to you guys almost every other day. But, let's finish off with this right. Finally get to go into it, and I'm excited to do this. I think I don't see a timer on my screen anymore with my recordings. So this could be like an hour long, this could be 30 minutes long. I don't know. I'm going to find out afterwards. But right now, Sly Cooper. He has been getting in the news lately, hasn't he? More than you think. A while ago, I think it was last month, they announced that Sly Cooper would be, the PS2 port would be announced. And it would go on to be not just streamed, but bought. You can buy it, and it is not streamable anymore. Well, it's streamable, yes. But you can buy the PS2 port and play it offline. Now, that naturally threw people into a frenzy. Because you don't just buy just any game. They chose certain games, which I believe were Tomb Raider, Sly Cooper, and I forget what the third... I think it was Star Wars? Might be wrong on that. But, yeah, it's weird. They chose very specific ones. We know for a fact Tomb Raider's getting a reboot. Star Wars has Star Wars Outlaws coming out. So, why Sly Cooper? Well, a rumor got debunked that a new game was getting announced. That's the Summer Games Fest. That just got debunked at. Well, that's Summer Games Fest because it didn't get announced. But the fact that all of this is floating around, and if you have PlayStation Stars on, which is like the PlayStation Rewards program, I guess you can say, for mobile, you can get a collectible, and it was an enamel pin. It's a digital collectible of Sly Cooper. Okay, that's off. That's interesting. That's cool. He's there. They're acknowledging him. But that's not enough to say it's something. Until they showed another screenshot of Astrobot. And they called Sly Cooper in. They show him. And not only is he just one of the cameos, he's a VIP cameo. That's huge. That shows that they're starting to acknowledge Sly Cooper more often. And the fact that they're acknowledging him more often is, in my opinion, a great thing. Why shouldn't you acknowledge Sly? He was the biggest thing, I would say, in the PS2 era, because when it comes to Sly Cooper 2, I got a cameo from Kevin Miller, and I asked him what his favorite game was, and he says Sly 2, in his opinion. We're living in that type of era of video games to this day. And I agree with him. I think you look at Sly 2 and it is a groundbreaking game. Every game after that game followed that type of formula. You played missions, you did a heist, new world. Missions, heist, new world. And that's still technically the formula of most games. You do a couple missions, you go to a new location. It's just how it is. I mean, that's what we have at this point. And it is so cool that we look at this now, and Sly is getting acknowledged. The fact that he's there. He exists. If we're not getting a new game, he's at least coming to the PS5. And that's enough for me for now. The fact that we get to have him and I get to finally record him and put him on the YouTube for my YouTube channel, for the podcast YouTube channel, gaming, which is literally just called Epileptic Gaming Channel, Epileptic Gaming Podcast, gaming. So feel free to subscribe to that. But the fact that it's getting acknowledged and that they are showing that they care about Sly is huge. That means it's not. They know it's not dead. Sly Cooper isn't a dead series. It's not. They could have killed it off a long time ago. Could have taken it around back and put the shotgun to it, but no. They could have gone Old Yeller. They didn't. This old raccoon has some life in him. And that thieving raccoon may just one day get a very, very good remaster, and we may be seeing it again. And if that doesn't give you hope, I don't know what will. They are looking at it, and part of me wonders if this is them testing the waters without releasing a full-on remaster, which is smart. You don't have to make a brand new game. You just have to port it over. That makes sense. That's actually extremely clever when you look at it. So, where's the catch? I don't think there is a catch. I think they want to acknowledge that, yeah, these Sly Cooper games exist. And they are part of PlayStation history. But, do I think this is a larger plot, maybe going into Sly 5? No. I don't. At the same time, I also do, if that makes sense. I'm going to say no, I don't, as in, I think if they wanted to test the waters, they would have released a remaster. Or they would have at least hinted at it. Which, I mean, technically they are. He's an Astrobot. They're technically hinting that he's there. But the fact that he's there, and he's getting his own PS2 ports, and he is getting his own rewards, almost everything. And PS5 themes are apparently coming around soon. I am convinced if he gets a PS5 theme, then we're getting a new Sly Cooper game. But the rumors are stacking up like crazy that Sly is coming back. Is this the way he was coming back? I don't know. I am not a mind reader. I am not Sony. I am not PlayStation. I'm a podcaster. Do I want to see Sly Cooper come back? Hell yes. I will play that. The second those games come out, I'll be the first one playing them. I hope. Unless I work that day, then I will be playing them when I come back from work. But the long and short of it is this. It is coming around. And it's coming around in a big way. And I cannot wait for it to come. We thought it was never going to happen. We thought we were never going to see Sly 2 on the PS5. And now we are. It might not be in the way we liked it. But we have it. And Sly Cooper has probably the most traction I've seen in this past few months since Thieves in Time has came out. And that's saying something. And I know Naughty Dog is working on Ghost of Tsushima 2. Sanzara Games is working on whatever they're working on in VR. I was trying to find the title name, but I couldn't. So, what does that mean? I feel like someone could absolutely take up the title. I do. But, whoever that is, they have to care about the series. It can't just be anybody. If anything, it needs to be Naughty Dog. If they were to come out and say, hey, yes, we'll do Sly Cooper, but let us do Ghost of Tsushima 2 first, I'd be happy. At least we know it's coming out. It has a name. Give us a name. But it's just one of those things where you have to wait. And I know this is not what people want to hear, but I have to say it. Sly Cooper 5 is likely years away. I think it's probably 4 years away, maybe 3. If it does well, the fact that they're putting an Astrobot shows they're acknowledging that it exists. That wasn't like that 5 years ago. I mean, the closest we had to it was streaming. And even then it was bad. Like, it looked bleak then. So, what's next? Next, you just gotta hope. Next, Sly Cooper will take his appearance in Astrobot, and he will do whatever he can to help you out in that video game. Enjoy him in Astrobot. But for now, let's take the wins as we can. Sly Cooper is going to be on PS5. And that's big. Even though he might be on PS Plus and it's a PS2 port, he's still on the PlayStation 5. Take the victory. That is a small victory. And it's a small step to getting a remake. And getting the story told. Do I think it will ever be made? Yes. I think that's mascot is too big to be ignored. That's why they have him as a VIP cameo. Do I think it's going to be within the next 2 years? God, no. Hell no. They would have announced it if it was in the next 2 years by now. I think Grand Theft Auto 6 and all that is probably the focus right now. Yeah, it's not going to happen within the next 2 years. So, that is all. That is it. I hope you guys enjoyed the very first episode of Deep Dive. I know this is longer than I'm used to usually going on episodes. I will try to get... This is going to get published immediately. I'll get a TikTok update of it the day after, and a YouTube short of it the day after. So I thank you all for joining me. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next episode, which is on Summer's Game Fest, I think? Or maybe a scripted episode? I don't know. I'd have to look in the files. But I am Jacob, also known as the Apple Up the Gamer. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.